about actually distilling business requirements, an end-to-end flow as for an outcome or for a business person. So it might be, I want to optimize my operations team, or I want to do a prediction on a production line, or I want to do a credit risk scoring model or something like that. And what we do is we take that process and actually distill the requirements down into a bunch of data products, all connected through a graph. And the graph is effectively the business process, looks like exactly the business process with a bunch of components on them, which are data products, which are actually containerized data products. So like I said, I do one with the credit model, which actually does a credit score. And it basically has a start with the data, containerized data, takes the data out, does feature engineering, puts it into a credit scoring model, and then passes it to an LLM to do a credit report, and then puts that into a credit system. And that's actually a business process. That's the graph you're talking about. And it's executable. But we actually define it on our canvas using generative AI. So I'd say, like, create me an end-to-end credit scoring model, and it generates the entire graph. And then each one of those products, as you said, has its own little model in it. So the feature engineering will have its own model. The credit scoring will have its own model. The LLM will have its own model. They have these little micro pipelines in each of the data products, but deployed end to end as a graph, which you can then run and execute. And so, like, I just look at the data sets going into that. I'll execute that, execute the credit model, and it will go and walk back down the graph, execute the data sets, feature engineering, the pipelines, the micro pipelines, as you talked about, and then give a credit score at the end of it. But it maps out to the full end-to-end business process, which we can show to a business person and say, this is your business process. Actually, this is how it actually works fundamentally. So I'm absolutely 100% into what you're saying around the graph and these micro modeling pieces. Because the other thing about the models, it's less modeling. It's more about assembly rather than modeling. Coming back to your enterprise data model challenge, right? We're not trying to build a model to go across that entire process. We're just assembling data for each of those little products and joining at the business process level.
So I think it absolutely makes sense. So this graph theory, which we are talking about, that will become a centralized piece.
Exactly right. Yes.
It will have its own graph theory. Procurement will have its. Marketing will have its. Just like data mesh concept, right? But only at a graph level, not at an implementation level. Because in data mesh, when you go towards implementation, there are a lot of limitations. Maybe that's why not a lot of big organizations end up implementing data mesh.
But there's some big. I mean, I've been following the data mesh for like 4 or 5 years, and then, like I said, back in 2014, I built a very data mesh solution for a large bank where we had little metric engines spun up, which were actually for different domains. We had different domains for different parts of the bank, and we had spun them up. And they had big wide flat domain tables for that, and it was really, really cool. The interesting thing about the mesh is, like, it's, for me, the big, there's some pieces that are missing, like the operating model, and that orchestration piece is a massive. It's a bit of a black hole in the mesh, because it's very much around people sharing data at the domain level. So the themes of the domain. So how do I package up a piece of data with all the compliance and the governance, all that kind of stuff, and then share it to another team? Whenever I do any mesh consulting, it's like, how do we do this end to end? How do we get the use case at the end? How does that, and that orchestration piece is really the bit, actually, the almost more important, because that's about the end to end, and graph theory and a solution in that absolutely works very, very well.
Yeah, so see, that's the challenge. Another challenge I see in data mesh, right? That it do talk about data products, but it says if marketing teams need a sales data, sales has to create it. And sales say, why the hell I should invest my money if there is no value? Then so someone has to incentivize sales. So all these discussions, your product goes in 6 months to 9 months. The whole idea
of data right. But that's the issue. That's what I'm saying about the mesh. Unfortunately, is a culprit of mixing the operating model and the architecture. And this is the thing. If you being able to actually have a business case to say, actually, you want every business team now to create their own capability for creating stuff. They hire their own data engineers. If you're talking data products like we do, like, they have to hire their own data scientists to build the models and the other bits and pieces. Like, you go to sales teams, like, well, why do I do that? Where's the business case for me to actually go and invest in that? And like you said, that's 6 month type thing. But for me, if you actually had even a business facing centralized team, we've seen these before, some of the churches are very good, who face off to sales, but funded centrally, and actually then can talk to sales and actually build those data products as if it were the sales team doing it on a physically distributed but logically centralized architecture like our platform. You get exactly the same effect, but you don't get into the bun fights around the operating model bit. fundamentally. So again, it swings and roundabouts, if you know that expression, right?
Now let's come towards this thing where we call about, I'm advocating nowadays a lot on this thing, like the four formulas I have come up with, right? Where one of the thing is that you need to have questions, you need to have answers, you need to have actions, and every action has to have a value. So last
Yes.
time you could run away because you said, hey, we have an enterprise warehouse. Maybe some of the questions are not asked, not their answer are not there. Maybe somebody else will do it because the cost was coming from a CEO pocket or a higher level, global level.
Yeah.
Now it's not the case. Every data product owner must pay themselves. So the moment when they pay themselves, every product has to have question, answer, action, and value, right?
Yes.
How do you see this importance in the era of AI, actually, especially because AI, okay, let me add a couple of sentences here. Like, I
Sure.
feel this era will bring data product development lifecycle into weeks, not even months, within a week. Because
Yeah.
when you have this graph, you have nodes, you have relationships, you have all those links. Now you can
Yeah.
exactly know to deliver something. This is the
Yeah.
link. This is something you need to create. So you
Yeah.
pull few entities, few tables, create dashboard. So how do
Yeah.
you see this transformation?
Yeah. So we can already do that. That credit model that I put together with a dashboard took me 2 hours
Awesome.
with all those data products. Admittedly, it was synthetic data, and I wasn't connected to it. I was connected to a simulated database, but it was actually with, even the credit model was the machine learning, it was a random forest model. Put that together quickly. Again, it's simplest, but it was literally that. And this is the most important point in all my career. The two things that business have always asked me for is when can I have my use case, and why does it cost so much to change my mind? It's those two things, right? It's like I want this now, and it's like I was going to make 6 months to do this, and to change your mind. I'm going to have to rewrite the whole thing. It's going to be another 12 months. Those are the two almost the biggest questions I get. Have been over this, and what you're saying is exactly right. So we do this, right? So fundamentally, be able to actually package a data product, or, if it's a data set, or if it's a model, or if it's a metric, or if we've got templates, we can do that in seconds, fundamentally. And the point is, not just be able to build it, be able to actually deploy it and actually show it to a business person with some user experience on it to say, is this right? The feedback around business, because that's the other thing I think we do tend to suffer a little bit in data and tech, is we're kind of below, almost like the business waterline, if you know what I mean. It's like we're going to go and build a pipeline, we're going to go DBT, and we're going to bed with Snowflake or Databricks or what have you. And it's like the business is going, well, where am I getting my use case? And then you wait months for something, and then you put something in and it doesn't work. It always fascinates me when people talk about data products. It's like exactly that. They've got to be valuable. It's like, well, if you follow a product methodology, they're valuable because you've worked out the problem space before you've even talked about what the product is. And that's what we need to do with data. And it's nothing we're not very good in the data space. We start with the technology and the kind of all the gubbins as I call it, but we don't start with the use case. Because you don't know what you're going to build until you understand the use case. Even the dashboard one, that's one of my favorite ones. It's like, well, do you need a dashboard there? Can you actually have a conversation with the business? If the business person comes, give me a KPIs, give me a dashboard. It's like, do you actually need, what are you trying to achieve? What's the outcome? What's the value you're trying to get? You just want a decision based on your operations team rather than just a dashboard showing how performant they are. You want to make sure you get your bonus. So can we actually build you something that gives you that makes sure you get your bonus? It doesn't actually predictive model that actually gives you optimizations rather than just giving you the information about how your team are performing. And that's really the key in my mind. It's going further up the value chain to actually be able to have those conversations rather than just say, we're going to go and build a dashboard because that's what the business asks us to. So it's going from that to really sort of driving the front end of the use case rather than just being order taking, what I call order taking. So, and that's something I think we're seeing more and more happening. I mean, we can talk about AI, but agents, the agentic type models, is business process. So you can actually have a conversation with a business person saying, I'm going to give you a new business process. Basically, I'm going to give you a marketing automation, or I'm going to give you an optimization for your team, or that stuff. You can start having that sort of conversation. It's something we've not been very good at, I think, in data and tech.
Yeah. So actually, this exactly translate our topic today, which is business transformation. How it will look like, because now product lifecycle has coming from months and months, I would say quarters and quarters into months and weeks. So
Yeah.
how business will transform? I think the TTM and ROI, TTM will be very fast and
Yeah.
ROI will be able to achieve so quickly that
Yeah.
yes, decentralized will be a little bit more expensive as compared to centralized because centralized have shared resources, decentralized will not have shared resources. But don't forget businesses or people who are against decentralized that, yeah, you invest higher now, but you go live too early and your value generation starts so early. So how do you see that transformation? What
Yeah.
benefits business will get?
Yeah. So if you do it the right way, the way we're talking about it, your cost becomes much lower because you're actually building end to end products, business facing in weeks rather than centralized for 6 months. So 6 months of cost for a central team is going to be a lot more than a week or two of a decentralized team, right? Fundamentally, that's kind of the theory. And that's absolutely can happen, but there's obviously a big lot of friction because organizations aren't set up that way. And that's the other thing I think we're seeing is quite transitioning organizations from centralized kind of data to just data only teams to actually those kind of more product led teams. We're helping an organization transform to actually a product led company. They're trying to, they go from, they do services like fund management, and they're actually going into, actually delivering product services to their clients. And then they've done a really great thing. They've got product leads. They've got genuine product leads. They've got people owning their part of the process, which is really important. And then with working on data product management with them, how we surface data to those product teams, and that's the whole transition fundamentally. And I think that's something that people need to really think about. Is like, how do we actually genuinely productize stuff? And once you do that, the things start falling away, right? You start saying, actually, we can deliver this part of the business process as a product. That's end to end. Then the business case becomes like, actually, we can generate revenue, or we can reduce costs based on that. So that's really the kind of and then you have the technology that comes in to do it. And obviously, with our platform, we can do that. We can fit right into that model and say, actually, you can generate, prototype, go through a product management process, which is actually let's look at the pain point. Let's come up with a nice clickable prototype, test it with the business, connect it to all the data. Does this work? Is it valuable? No, it's not valuable. Let's try something else. Especially with, you start bringing AI into it, and you start doing experimentation, you can do that as well. But you can do it really quickly, really cheaply, rather than throwing it over to a central team that takes months and before you even know if the value or if it's even feasible, because the data might not be there. But you want to test that out as well. So you want to test the value very quickly, and you want to test the feasibility very, very quickly, rather than spending 6 months doing it.
Yeah, because this is also an important point. I have another question, but before I pose that, what is the importance of having shorter life cycles? You can comment on this one as well. For me, I think the shorter life cycle is so important because every 3 to 6 months, cheaper and better technology is coming. If your life cycle is 6 months or 1 year, you're gone. Your use case is gone. Technology is gone. The moment you go live, three more products has come in, just like DeepSeek, right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, there's two sides of that. There's the technology side. I think it's absolutely, imperative to be able to actually try that. But there's also the business opportunity. How many companies are getting their grass cut because OpenAI and and the cloud providers are all building their own versions of what it is. So there's an opportunity cost at the top end. And there's a technology opportunity cost at the bottom end. And I did a post about this the other day, and I think it's you get good at placing bets quickly and cheaply and low risk. And this is the thing you said. I did a sort of cartoon of someone changing the wheel on the car as it goes along, and that's kind of what people need to reorientate to do. To your point, it's not just about trying the business opportunity; it's trying the new technology, but in a safe, low risk environment. Prove the value quickly and cheaply within weeks, ideally. Bring in a new model, bring in some new tech, new way of doing stuff. Test it out with the business at an end to end, vertical slice of the use case. Test it out, and they're right. That's valuable. That works. Right, now let's productionize it. So it's also gearing the organization up to be able to actually productionize it, put it into the organization. That's a people, process, and technology piece. There's no point having a great innovation lab that can do all that, and then 12 months or 18 months before it goes into the organization. So it's actually it's both.
Yeah, so so my question is still parked, but you brought up another thing. So I have come up with PVP approach. We have MVP, and I have come up with this PVP approach, which I call it productionizable, viable product. So what I say that